Hello to everyone listening, and welcome to a new episode of Startup Greece Talks. I am welcoming today Despina Zoura from Turn It Green. Hello, Despina.
Hello, Fedra. Nice to meet you in person now.
Nice to meet you in person now, too.
The
So, me
new
and
age in
Despina.
person, you know.
Me and Despina had the talk yesterday. We got to meet each other a little bit, but today I'm gonna literally ask her everything. So, Despinamo, just tell me a little bit about yourself and anything you would like to share with our audience.
Okay, so about me, I'm a climate scientist. So my background was in academia before starting the journey with Tenant Green and going into the entrepreneurial side of things, side of
Yeah,
life, I would say.
the fun
So I
side of
have,
things.
yeah, well, hopefully, we'll see. It's too early.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is fun. It is completely different from what I was used to do.
Absolutely, yeah.
So basically, yeah, I'm a researcher. I was all about climate modeling and how things work in climate. And then I realized one day that even though I do love research, I also want to do something that has an impact on community. And
Yeah.
it's nice to know and how the climate works and how bad we are actually doing things.
Yeah.
And but when you cannot find a solution, it can be a little bit miserable. So I was like, okay, now that I know how things work, let's see if I can help to fix them.
Mm.
And here I am.
Absolutely. And I know that your academic journey is quite big. So would you share a little bit more about it? Because I find it fascinating. And we're both coming from the academia researcher background, which I know it's very hard to jump from towards a more
Yeah,
entrepreneurial life, because in academia, you don't get taught any of the skills, either hard or soft, required to be an
yeah.
entrepreneur or generally just start a business on your own. So would you share your journey, your academic journey with me, please?
Of course. So I had like my bachelor degree in geology from the
Yeah.
University of Patras. And then while studying for geology, I became fascinated with oceanography. So I went and did my master's degree in environmental oceanography.
Mm-hmm.
I worked as a researcher in the University of Patras in the Laboratory of Marine Geology for
Mm-hmm.
4 years, while I was also teaching at the university as a teaching assistant there.
Yeah.
And then I left for England. I went to the University of Leeds to do my PhD on climate modeling. So I was studying for my PhD, I was studying the Asian monsoons and how they developed and how CO2 affects it and affects the whole climate in the area and the acidification they have there. And then I finished my PhD, which was in collaboration with the Chinese Academy of Sciences. So I did spend a few months there working with those people, with colleagues from China. And then I finished my PhD and stayed as a researcher at the University of Leeds for another project studying basically what we know as the worst climate crisis the planet has ever faced, which was the mega dying some 256 million years ago, and how that played with the biological and the ecosystem and stuff like that. So I stayed for 3 more years. And then COVID hit, and I was like, okay, it's time for a change. And
Mm.
again, as I mentioned in the beginning of our talk, do something, find a solution,
Find a
because
solution.
it
Yeah.
was the mega dying 256 million years ago, but we're heading into a mega dying now.
Yeah,
And
most
what can we
likely.
do about it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
find
that was my academic journey.
your academic journey very fascinating. And if we adapt the years, what's the number?
Oh, that's a grim projection. So I don't want to
No. I
make
mean,
our
if we adapt
audience
your
miserable.
academic years, your years in academia, how
Oh,
many years have you been studying?
oh, that's a lot of years.
That's what
It was
you-
like 12 or something. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it was
that's why
12
I'm asking,
years.
because it seemed as if it's quite a big number. Yeah. In Greek,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
all our
I've studied a lot.
for all our English speakers out there, you will not understand this, but in Greek we would say "χαρά στο κουράγιο σου." That's what we would say.
It
Thank
takes a
you.
special mentality and some really weird mindset to do
Absolutely.
that, but
Yeah.
yeah.
You need a twist.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need a twist.
Yeah.
I feel you. I feel you were coming from a relatively same background. I really do feel you. It takes some kind of twist in your head. But the important thing
Yes.
is that getting out of that circle, you managed to actually start something on your own that's impactful. And I would love to know, what exactly does Turn It Green do?
Sure. So what we're trying to do with Turn It Green, and hopefully we're achieving, is addressing the critical challenge of climate literacy among consumers, young professionals, and organizations, corporations. So we do that by creating an app that calculates each person's carbon footprint and essentially their impact on the environment. And through a gamified environment with challenges and rewards, we help everyone reduce their footprints and at the same time learn how everyday actions have impact on the environment. So just not reduce the carbon footprint, but actually understand why and how that works and what are the mechanisms controlling every action you make with the environment and the impact you have on it.
Absolutely. So if I understand correctly, it's an app, and through your app,
Yes.
you can collect data in a fun and gamified manner from everyday people. And in the end, you can create, let's say, an analysis, right, of what
Yeah,
their
roughly, yeah.
carbon footprint is, or even create some sort of report, right?
So yeah, the idea behind it is exactly that. So you're a user, you're downloading our app and you answer like 10 simple questions about you,
Yeah.
non-invasive, nothing weird. So basically, what's your diet if you're a vegetarian or yeah, if you're a vegetarian or if you're, a pescatarian or whatever, and how many miles, kilometers do you drive to go to work?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So pretty simple stuff. So it's a one-off questionnaire. You answer it when you are signing in. And then based on that, we're making calculations about your carbon footprint per year. And you have a profile where you can go and see really cool stats and graphs about your carbon footprint and where's your country at, where's the world average at.
Yeah.
And then you have tailored the recommended action section where you get to go and we are actually proposing some things you can change in your daily life, so that you can see your carbon footprint reducing. And then you will go to your profile and see the actions and see how well you did and how that's impacted and stuff like that. But the thing we are doing that will be, I think, our most innovative approach is, first of all, the gamification of that. So, and second of all, we actually have tailored recommendations. So if you're a vegetarian, we won't say don't eat a burger because you're already there. So there is no point in proposing stuff you will not do or you're already doing. So the tailored recommendations, like for example, we all know that buying an electric car is good for the environment, but not anyone can afford an electric car, or for some reason they don't want to get one. So we won't go for the big, shiny actions, but we will go for things like go for a mintless day during the week, or air dry your clothes instead of using the dryer. And little actions that if you combine them all together, actually reduce your carbon footprint by as much as it would reduce by buying an electric vehicle.
So at this point, I would like Despina to give me an explanation of exactly what the problem is that the company solves. So Despina, what is it?
So basically, if I want to use a phrase to explain it and not go into a lot of details, Turn It Green is addressing the critical challenge of climate literacy, but it does that among not only consumers, but also young professionals and organizations. And we do that by, as I told you before, we're creating an app that calculates the footprint, and then through a gamified environment, we help everyone reduce it. So in a nutshell, that's the problem we're solving. But if we want to go into more details, we have multiple fronts, like we're trying to tackle the climate literacy problem on multiple fronts. Because first of all, you have the consumers who actually have the desire to contribute to environmental efforts, but often meet uncertainty because actually they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And they don't know what impact their choices have.
Absolutely.
And then you have, exactly, you have within organizations, you have young professionals who seek to align their careers with purpose-driven skills and objectives, like, green skills are a thing now.
Yes.
But they lack the clarity to do so. And every course out there, not every, but most of the courses out there are purposed for C-suite executives, so high level. They tend to be very expensive. So companies don't pay for young professionals to have such courses to get green skills. So we're trying to solve that as well. We're trying to fill this gap with tailored training and solutions like that for young professionals.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the corporations where they have some problems in communicating the initiatives,
Mm-hmm.
and they also have problems fostering engagement among employees. So even though some companies, have green initiatives, they don't know how to communicate it. So it doesn't resonate with their audience and their customers, potential customers.
Yeah.
And within the company, you don't have you don't have the engagement between employees, even if your company does have some green initiatives. They don't communicate it to the employees.
Can you please help our audience understand why is it so crucial that there are actually some activities or some engagement like the ones you're talking about regarding sustainability, green, let's say a green turn in every company. Why is this important? And I'm asking you because we need to talk a little bit about upcoming legislations and regulations regarding carbon emissions accounting, monitoring our footprint, reports. So why is it important?
Well, first of all, it's not important because of the legislation. It's important because our planet has actual problems.
Yeah, but for the company,
but because our planet has actual problems, yeah, yeah. So because our planet has actual problems, there is some legislation going on. So you have it started with the Kyoto Protocol, and then we moved to the Paris Agreement, staying below 1.5 degrees, which probably is not happening. And then you had COP28 this year, pushing for some changes in the legislation and stuff like that. But since we are based in Europe, we also have the European Union trying to have some policies that will keep us within limits and according to the Paris Agreement for the foreseeable future. There's a new directive out there, so companies are actually forced to do it, to report their carbon footprint. They are forced to have a more social and ESG profile out there, and not only in terms of climate, but pretty much in every aspect of our everyday lives, from inclusivity to CO2 emissions. And the new directives that could have been stricter, but still they are forcing even smaller companies now to have a proper and transparent way of reporting things. And I think that's why it is important. And legislation is coming, and new legislation will come as well. It's an ever-adapting climate and political climate as well. So we're expecting more and more policies to be enforced. Sustainability should be the number one thing governments are pushing in the future.
Thank you for sharing all of this with us. And yesterday, before our connection got cut, I was thinking that there are being directives and legislations and regulations and all of these sorts of mandatory rules around climate at the same time for companies and now for SMEs too. So it's pushing SMEs towards a
Yeah.
direction that they might not have the resources to follow. If you see where I'm going with this, and at the same time,
Yeah.
we have we have the war here and the war there, and we have all these kinds of completely unregulated situations that no one could ever possibly even think of talking about what it
No, yeah.
causes to the environment, because it would be it would be politically incorrect to
Yes.
start saying like things like, why are you asking for small and medium enterprises to monitor their carbon emissions when Ukraine is going through what is through what is happening?
It might seem out of place, but imagine a world without water or a world that is dry and 3 degrees warmer, what that will bring. I mean, imagine the wars that could potentially happen for water, for example, which is probably the most valuable source we have. So even though it's trying times and weird times around us, and one might say we have wars, who cares about sustainability?
No. My
Um,
point, no. My point was not that. My point was that imagine the effort that people, me and you, are doing on everyday lives in order to protect the environment in the tiniest and slightest possibilities that we have when these things are happening to the world, and the amount of climate literacy that they are causing, and the changes that they are causing, not only on the broader area of where it's happening, but in the whole microclimate of
yeah,
Europe. It's inconceivable. I was reading things about how the war in Ukraine affected the European climate. It's
yeah.
inconceivable, the changes that have
It's
happened.
inconceivable. It's inconceivable indeed, and it's a really bad time to be running against those things, you know.
Anyway, the thing is that it's unfortunately my point was that unfortunately big corporations and their leadership is not that interested in making long-term change. They're more interested in making short-term changes in order for their actions to apply to the regulations and legislations. But
And
the
that's exactly though why you need informed consumers, you know,
exactly, that was my point.
because consumers push the change. Exactly.
Exactly. So if consumers and people that work in the companies, employees, are informed, they're well educated, then they really do understand and have a broader vision of what they are, of the way that they can contribute to this, then they are
Yeah.
gonna push towards a different direction. For example, I'm not gonna work for a company that does not have a pretty, let's say, educated or informed department that can really help me or help themselves change the situation. So
Good. Good.
I think that now that we have covered the technicalities of the why, which is the legislation, regulations,
Hmm. Hmm.
mandatory actions, we have covered the personal aspect of why one would need to drive this thing forward. I want to understand. You're a company. You need to work. You need to make money. You need
Yeah.
to take this impact and monetize it as much as possible so that you can have a greater impact by bringing your product one step ahead at the time. So, how would you be making money when this thing starts rolling?
Hmm.
Because I understand that you're quite an early stage startup at this point. So what is your model? Do you work? I understand that you work with both companies and consumers at the same time. So
Yeah.
instead of me talking, I'm gonna let you explain it. You're probably gonna do it better.
Exactly as you said that our startup's revenue generation strategy spans both B2C and B2B, those two domains.
Mhm.
And after a while, since we are about to launch in a week or so, we now have what we call a well-defined business model. And we have a diverse range of offerings for both B2B and B2C to generate some revenue. So for individual users, we offer a freemium app. So you get to get the app, have your calculations,
Yeah.
get into the challenges and the rewards and everything without paying. We will also be providing some educational content, and we have the personalized recommendations for free.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a family and you want to create a family group, then you can go into a paid subscription service, and that's one way for the B2C to generate some revenue.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, once we are out and if things go according to our plans and we have plenty of users, of B2C free users, we can leverage that user base for targeted ads, because bear in mind, we will have a very niche audience. So everyone who is eco-conscious will be in our platform. And then you know that everyone who wants to advertise the green initiative, they can reach that audience right through without any filters or anything.
I was just saying that it's a very it's a very common and at the same time very smart model, because you are creating an impactful community at the same time
Yes.
while utilizing the community as a pool for leads for other companies. So
Yeah. Yeah,
you're
that's exactly.
you're bringing together people with the same needs, binding them with an impactful initiative, which is a very strong bond for communities, and you're allowing companies to reach them as leads, which make you a great intermediate for business. So this is
I'm glad you liked it. So yeah, that's for the B2C perspective, that's the spirit. And then when we go to the basic revenue stream, and it's the corporate sector. So basically what we do is that we provide organizations with employee engagement software, which is a really fast growing market. We'll talk about it later, I guess. And we are also offering training sessions based on focused on sustainability. So this revenue is generated through corporate partnerships and subscriptions for each employee. And then an additional revenue stream are the sustainability courses I talked about earlier for young professionals. And then you get revenue from there as well, from the courses and the subscriptions.
yeah, of course, of course. Um, so are you planning on creating like a small group of educators to do that? Do you already have them in the team?
Well, I consider an educator myself, so for
Of
now that
course,
we are a startup,
absolutely.
I'm leading. Yeah, I'm leading this. But yeah, hopefully when we grow, we will get to
You have
hire some
every
more
right to
educators.
do that after all those years.
And I'm still studying for some reason, but yeah, and we're leveraging AI as well. I mean, especially for a startup that is bootstrapping, we're trying to, minimize the costs, low costs, basically. So we're also leveraging AIs for some kind of the research and, for recording and stuff like that. So we don't lose our valuable time since it's a startup.
Absolutely.
But yeah, definitely the plan in the future is to have educators so they can actually attend trainings on site in organizations and corporations and stuff like that.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So I understand that not only due to the increasing needs, but also due to as we talked about, due to the increasing regulations, it's going to be a growing market. So I understand that the market size is going to be constantly changing towards something bigger, and more companies are going to need help with these things. Where is it currently? Where is the market size currently? And where do you see it going within the next years?
Yeah. To be honest, if you look at the market, you get all smiles. It's wonderful. It's a growing market, and to be honest, because I told you we have like three different revenue streams, we are in the intersection of many markets. So it is the corporate training market, a sector valued now at 100 billion for soft skills.
Yeah.
And then that one has a compound annual growth rate of 11%.
Yeah.
So it's a fastly growing market. And even better for us, sustainability training ranks among the highest growing segments in this sector, only second to AI and machine learning skills. So it's AI, machine learning, and then sustainability in a growing at 11% rate market.
Perfect.
And then the second market we're tapping is the ESG reporting software, which is not quite what we do because we're not into the greenhouse gas protocol or that kind of accounting, but we offer some scope 3 metrics that you cannot get because it has to do about your employee. And it's not easy. It's not that you plug the system, the vendor that does your accounting to your system, and they know how your employee drives to work or what's their emissions if they work from home and stuff like that. So we're also kind of tapping this market that has a current value of 700 million and an annual growth rate of 14%. And it's expected to reach the 2.2 billion in the next 7 years. So it's a huge market as well. We have the corporate social responsibility software, where you get valued, the market is valued at 800 million and it has a growth rate of 9%. Again, it's forecasted to grow into 2.1 billion in the next 7 years. And then the market that actually is probably the most fitted for us, I mean, the one that will generate most of our profit, it's the employee engagement software.
Yeah.
It's kind of an unknown market in Greece. Yeah. Not many people know about employee engagement software, but having lived in England and our co-founder working there, they already have software for that purposes in their company. And so it's really growing in the US and Northern Europe, which are the markets we're targeting. And this market is currently valued at 1 billion and experiencing a compound annual growth rate of 17%. So in the next 7 years, it's forecasted to reach about 3 billion. And this is the intersection of the markets that if you take even a small piece of it, it results in a significantly large market size. And the key here is that while the components of the intersection are well established, the sustainability sector within them is experiencing even more rapid growth. So this indicates a dynamic and expanding market with ample opportunities for us and for innovation and market penetration. Mostly market penetration is what now starting.
Thank you so much for sharing all of this information with me and all of those estimates. I understand from what you're telling me that we're not only focusing on a Greek market, we also want to reach international markets. So where are you focusing currently?
Exactly. I mean, of course, we welcome Greece. Two of us live here, but in all honesty, we're not looking for this market, at least not for now. We're mostly focused on the UK, Canada, the US, and Northern Europe, like countries like Germany, Sweden, Norway, and basically countries that have already embedded sustainability in their functions and people are more aware of what's happening. Then start from there and expand to everywhere in the world, you know.
Yes.
We are an app. I mean, there is no physical...
Makes much more sense to concentrate to a more, let's say, educated and mature audience than than the Greek audience. That's true.
Exactly. And I think that the best example I can think of that is like in Sweden, when you go to a restaurant, you get the menu and it has like the description of the dish you're about to eat and then the price. And then below the price, you have the carbon footprint of that particular dish. So, you know, obviously we're going to start with countries that know what the carbon footprint is and then go from there.
Perfect. Okay, thank you very much for sharing that. I understand that through all of these estimations, you're not the only ones working on this industry. So I'm sure that you have loads of indirect competitors. I cannot name those, but I can imagine which the indirect competition might be. But tell me, what's the direct competition, if there is any? If not, what is the competition that you are facing and you see that is going to be pushing you?
Our direct and indirect competition spans both in the B2C and B2B markets. But the key here is that our competitors are specializing in either the one or the other. So it's basically they're either doing B2B or they're doing B2C. None of those competitors do that together like we do. So we are the ones that are uniquely combining both markets and offering a personalized approach and tailor to each user, which is another valuable thing that our competition doesn't have. So in the B2B, in the B2C market, there are some user apps that, you know, can calculate your footprint, but they have their own monetization strategy. They're not about climate literacy. Most of them are about offsetting your carbon footprint.
Exactly.
So basically, okay, tell me what you do for the environment and then pay. Which is not something we want to have as a core concept. Our core concept will be try to do more sustainable actions, like sustainability becoming a habit in your everyday life. So I think that's our key advantage over there. In the B2B market, there are some competitors, but they only focus on employee engagement for the businesses. They don't have a free consumer app and the specialization in volunteering initiatives and communicating green initiatives for the company, which is going to be one of our offerings for the B2B side as well. And then the indirect could be like the ESG reporting vendors, but those people are primarily focused on systems integration. And they often do not have the capability of capturing and missing KPIs related to employee-driven factors, such as commuting that we talked earlier and remote work.
It's very hard to collect this data.
Exactly. And to be honest, we don't see ESG reporting vendors as competitors, but as potential partners. So, you know, we can give them the employee data in their system integrated, and it could be like a really nice strategic partnerships instead of competition.
Absolutely. I wanted to, I just slipped my mind, but I wanted to ask, you said that you're currently bootstrapping, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you were to raise funds at some point, what would you say that would be the biggest competitive advantage that you bring in the table? You're going to tell me your opinion. I'm going to tell you mine. So what do you think your competitive advantage would be?
Essentially, our USP is that we are blending personalized sustainability with gamification, targeting an intersection for rapidly growing markets. The ones I analyzed before. So it's the corporate training, the ESG reporting, the CSR software, and the employee engagement software.
It's a holistic approach towards the problem.
Exactly. Absolutely. Exactly. So unlike competitors who address the full spectrum of sustainability and basically data literacy and climate literacy, offering solutions that hopefully will resonate with the consumers, the young professionals, and the organizations. Again, not one or the other. So I think that this approach is what is actually tapping into a newly created demand within established markets. And if we are pioneers at that, if we are the first there in integrating sustainability deeply into the corporate culture and personal habits as well, then that's what sets us apart, and that's, I think, our selling point for a potential investor out there.
Perfect. Okay. I'm not gonna give you my opinion because our opinions align. So would you tell me please a couple of things about the team?
Oh, yes, of course. I'm happy to talk about the guys. I've talked enough about me. So it's three of us. It's me, and then we have Stefanos Karadinakis, who is our wonderful CTO and developer. He's doing the whole thing with coding and developing the app, and he's doing a wonderful job so far.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's um, he's a seasoned developer as well. He has been a first employee in a startup before, so he knows how fast-paced and how startups work, and basically that everyone does anything in the beginning.
Yep.
And then we have Panos Lazaridis, who I think you've talked to. He's
Yep.
our CEO and co-founder, of course. He's the guy whose days has more than 24 hours. I don't know how he does it. But he's everywhere. He's on top of everything, and he has great experience in the business side of things and in the product management side of things because it's his job. I didn't know Panos before turning green, but I consider I now have a new friend, no matter what, you know.
Sure.
But Panos and Stefanos were friends from school, long way back. And then I met Stefanos when we were studying at the University of Patras, and we were friends ever since. And at some point, Panos and Stefanos started all this, like the idea and the brainstorming. And I went out for a coffee with Stefanos just to catch up, you know, as friends. I had no idea what he was doing. And he told me about the project. It was an idea at that point, and I was like, okay, I think I can help you with that.
Mm.
Let's talk. And then, you know, the brainstorming started between all three of us. The idea took a shape. It changed quite a lot through those months.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are. I think I'm really happy with that team. And I
Are you
think it's
planning
the
on
one
expanding
thing
it?
I'm sure. Hopefully, yes. I mean, we will be actively searching for some funding once we are out and we have the first data from users and feedback and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we want to, yes, we want to expand the team. We want to have more developers to help Stefanos as well. And then, you know, we'll be needing educators as we discussed.
Yeah.
So of course we see it as a growing team, and we also have some equity for that will be purposed for the people that will the early employees in the startup
Yeah.
because we really believe that a strong team can actually, you know, lift things really fast and do miracles.
I totally agree. Team is everything. I've been saying this and I believe it very firmly. I was saying that as a wrap up to our conversation, I would like to make a call to action to anyone listening to us. We would be very, very happy if you could get to us through the comments or straight to Despina or me in order to give us your feedback regarding the episode, but also if you have any talents wanting to talk with this team, people that are interested and skilled to be part of the team, please contact us and we'll be getting back to you the soonest. So Despina, thank you so, so much for this interview.